so much for coming out this evening. I know it's a busy time of year for everyone, and probably that's why we have a little bit of a more intimate group this evening, which is fine. It's an opportunity actually to maybe, be a little more personal. If you have any questions that are more specific to your own situations, we like to encourage you to take this opportunity and have them answered. We have an awesome panel here this evening. These are some of the professionals that we work with all the time, and we can really tell you they're reliable and some of the best people in the industry here tonight. So, as you know from our handouts, we have a real estate attorney, Ali Alavi, with Alavi and Braza, who is now walking off the stage. He's an expert in real estate law. He's been doing it for over 13 years and counting. He's also a co-host of the radio show on WBC 1030. What's it called again? Real Estate Radio Boston, thank you. Which is on Saturday evenings at 8 p.m. And with him is another co-host of WBC's 1030, Real Estate Radio Boston, Rick Shearer. He's with MSA Mortgage, and he is a mortgage planner. So basically, whatever your mortgage needs might be, he's the person to call on. He's happy to answer your questions and make sure that you're in the best situation for your needs. And tonight he'll be talking a little bit about condo conversions and what you need to know if you are considering doing one as far as the financing goes. And then we have Kelli Weber, who is our right-hand woman for staging and interior design, and really is a person that adds value to her clients. And whatever kind of property you might have, condo, single, multifamily, she will be able to take your budget and work with it and basically leverage your assets, and her return is like 1 to 3 times whatever, or sorry, I should say 3 to 5 times whatever you put into it. So she's an awesome person to have on your team. All right, so here we go. Thank you again for coming. And again, if you do have any questions, just feel free to raise your hand or yell out, okay? Thank you.
I want to focus on staging. Now, one of the things that I plan to say today, since most of you probably aren't living in these properties, is that staging is part of your investment. And the reason I say that is because there are some powerful numbers. I mean, we're talking about maximizing your equity here. I don't want to fall off the stage. Okay, that's just a blurb there. So we're talking about maximizing your equity, and one of the ways you can do that is with home staging and interior design. Ali was speaking about how important it is to bring in an architect when you're doing condo conversions, and talking to some of my architect friends and colleagues before this presentation, one of the biggest things that they said to me is they find space for you. And what they mean by that is maybe you have some storage areas, or maybe they can offer you a different layout to get an extra bedroom. Obviously, another bedroom in a unit equals potentially a higher listing price. So what does this all mean? Just want to jump right into the numbers because I feel like you guys are numbers people. And the staging numbers are good. So when staging a property, the expectation is if I invest in some staging, some decorating, maybe part into design, what is going to be my return on investment? Now that's a big thing that separates me from other stagers, is I'm always focused on that ROI. If you're going to spend X, we're going to get X, right? So have some national averages just to kind of give you guys some math on this. So basically, on average, if you invest in staging and design as part of your equity in real estate, you should expect to receive between 8 and 10% higher in your list price. So I've kind of broken that down. Take a $500,000 property, be it a condo, whatever, $500,000 property. 8 to 10% is $40,000 to $50,000. Okay, so if you have some extra funds to put towards this investment. What Carrie was saying earlier, I think she said something like 2 or 5. It's more like three times, because what does it cost, right? Everyone wants to know, what does it cost? Well, a good guide and a good rule of thumb is staging or design services or in renovations should cost somewhere between 1% and 3% of the list price. So taking, again, that $500,000 property, between 1% and 3% is between $5,000 and $15,000. So basically, what I'm saying is, in this particular example, a $500,000 list price, that if you look to invest between $5,000 and $15,000 on home improvements and home staging, you can expect to reap $40,000 to $50,000 in profits. So that's kind of double or almost triple what your investment is, right? It's maybe better than the stock market or the CD at your local bank. The other biggest thing is that it'll actually help you sell your property faster, okay? The statistics say it's about 72% faster. So let's say, you know, a $500,000 home in Somerville is averaging, you know, 90 days, 3 months. If we can shorten that window by 72%, that's 2 months of carrying costs that go back in your pocket. Now, if very generally your carrying costs were $2,000 a month on your mortgage and expenses, that's $4,000 more on saving. So here we have, in our example, an investment of between 5, and like I said, this is just one example on a 5. We can, you know, if you want to get to me after, we can kind of run down numbers on your specific price point. But on $500,000 property, investing $5,000 to $15,000 can triple your investment by $40,000 or $50,000, and also shorten your days on market. Now, why do we say that? Did anyone catch the slide about the cake? Carrie liked my slide about the cake. Okay, so this will loop through. Look for the slide about the cake, because basically I found 2 pictures, and I often do this live in some of my presentations. You have a cake that you bake at home. It's Pillsbury at the box. You slap some frosting on it, put some sprinkles on it. It's yummy, right? But then you go down the street to the Italian bakery, and they have these beautiful, and there's roses and there's chocolate swirls, right? Does it taste any better? Maybe not. But the point is that this is home staging. A show of hands, who has ever heard of the term merchandising? Okay. So the definition of merchandising also comes up in this presentation, but merchandising is a way of, an organized way with a specific skill set to sell a product. All home staging is a coined phrase in the real estate industry. It's merchandising. It is making your investment something that you've had, that you've maybe used to make a profit of, and make it look better. Today's buyers are looking at the listing online before they're even driving by. So having some good design, good staging in place, and good photos already gives you better odds. So I kind of beat those statistics to a pulp. I hope I've kind of helped burn those into your brain, because the alternative to that is, selling potentially as is for a lower price. I mean, why leave $40,000, $50,000 on the table, right? So, any questions? Can't really see if anyone's raising their hand. Okay.
So you come in, and I assume you look at what we have and you make suggestions to where we get things to help stage?
Yeah, it can. There's a lot of variables that contribute to what I do. Of course, what those variables could be: what is your budget? Market condition plays a big role. Somerville is sort of a hotter market. Things are selling quickly, kind of regardless. So my strategy is a little bit different in a market like this, where the goal is to sort of propel you into a more profitable listing price. So yes, so the process would start with a consultation with me, kind of examining the property, seeing where improvements can be made. Working with a client right now, it isn't a single family home, But she sort of had her own laundry list of ideas that she wanted to complete that she thought would contribute, design-wise to more equity. And one of them was, I mean, she lived there, so it's a little more personal for her maybe than some of the properties you're talking about. But she wanted to put glass panels on some kitchen cabinets because she felt that corner of the kitchen was dark and she wanted to brighten it up. But she got an estimate, it was a couple $1,000s. And so what did I do? I said, no, you don't need to do that. Save that money. So oftentimes when you're dealing with a professional, we can actually help you pick and choose. I have consulted with architects, so if we're talking about condo conversions, sometimes it's good to bring me into the design process so we can comment about, the level or the expense of maybe things being done after they've sort of worked out the floor plan. Like you're not going to necessarily put the highest end kitchens into maybe a price point that's under, say, $400,000. So.
I'll make a couple of comments here. Is this working?
No.
All right, yeah. Just a couple of comments. I had a condo conversion, a 3-unit conversion in the town of Somerville. Town of Somerville is hot, but it's not that hot. All right, I mean, you really need to understand your market, and a lot of the misconceptions, and Rick and I have talked about this on the show, is you need to have realistic expectations, and the real estate agents that create unrealistic expectations for you because they want to be able to get you $150,000 over what you thought you're going to get for your property, in my opinion, don't listen to those real estate agents. You need to have an active dialogue with an effective agent. Buyers are uncreative. They're blind. They have no idea. They don't have any vision. I can tell you that because I bought a property 3 years ago, and I'm like, I have no idea how to design anything. I don't know where anything goes. And so to have that already there for you, it gives you a complete fresh perspective. So I really, truly believe that staging is immensely valuable. The 3-unit condo conversion that I told you about in Somerville, it sat on the market for a little over a year. It was mint. I mean, high-end, you're talking about, not putting high-end sort of kitchens. This thing was all high-end. And amazing story. 2 units were being marketed by one agent, 1 unit was being marketed by another agent. Those 2 units were staged, the 3rd unit was not staged, those 2 units sold, that other one didn't sell until for a long time. And so that's really, I mean, to me, that was just a perfect example of what staging does versus what staging can and cannot accomplish. So those 2 points to start.
No, that's great. No, to actually embellish on that, Ollie was saying how buyers have no vision. 90% of buyers have no vision. There's a stat on that. I guess I'm apparently full of them. But so that means 90% of the people walking into your property, if you're not taking these steps to design it and market it really, really well, you might lose that buyer because of their lack of vision. The other thing to plug off of what Ollie said, I work with a lot of real estate agents across a lot of markets. My business name is New England Staging and Interiors, so I do work all over New England. I grew up in a neighboring town here to Somerville, so I am pretty familiar with the area. And a lot of times I'll work with the agent and you, the homeowner, and say, if we do, let's run an analysis. We're at 500,000 right now, but if we do A, B, and C, where are we? That's basically, analyzing the market against those statistics and determining what your personal return on investment is. So sometimes it's greater than 8 to 10%. I've seen it be greater. One of my best stories is a client of mine invested about $10,000 in home improvements and received $22,000 over asking. So not only did they make their design and staging investment back, but they received triple that as well. There was a bidding war. Are there any other questions? Yes.
Do you have a stock of furniture items that you use for staging, or do you go out and buy them every time?
That's a good question. I stock some things. I use third-party relationships, rental furniture. A lot of times if I got the feeling that none of you live there, But if you did, you know, we could work with the things you have. It's funny that I run a business that I'm trying to get you to spend as little as possible. So every situation is different, and the resources I take advantage of will be depending on the property and what's needed.